So we're going to do something when I get back from Europe.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a Drake line.
The Bald Boys.
What song?
The Bald Boys are coming.
Bald and Beard.
We could be called the Beach Boys.
How are ya?
And he's real Italian, and you're not fake Italian.
We kind of look alike, eh? We got a little dad bod going, no hair, little beard.
I don't know. Derek looks.
You know
you
what
guys
it
both
is?
look good, but
The gray.
I
You're missing
don't-
the gray.
I like
the gray gives you
like the
like
gray.
It is very salt and pepper.
Yeah,
I like the
the
gray.
salt and pepper
I
gives
like
you
the
a
gray.
little
salt
more.
and pepper.
You got the salt and pepper going a little
hey,
bit.
I'm getting old. Today, a guy in the sauna called me young man. It made me, and he says, "What's the time, young man?" And I said, "Well, thanks for calling me young man." He goes, "No, you are." I said, "Well,
Bro, you have a hairline. You have a hairline of like a horse. It's just never going
Yeah,
nowhere.
it's on
It's
my
beautiful.
nonna side.
Yeah,
It's
not,
gorgeous.
That's not
My
fair.
nonna-
You got a mane, buddy. That's clean.
My nonna's hair would have moved in a tornado."
I might just shave a little bit off yours next time you get a haircut. Just put it on mine. Maybe bring it down around here. You know.
Oh, stop.
Paul's gonna be 70. His hair's still gonna look like that.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
his father's got flow better than the guys in the show.
See, there you go.
The show. Dan got to golf with Troy Brower yesterday.
I don't think it's Troy
It
Brower.
must have been. What other Troy played in the NHL?
I don't know, Paul. You're asking the wrong guy.
I think it's got to be him. Dougie was there. Jeremy Roenick, Chris Chelios.
Yeah, that's a great.
That was a fun tournament.
A great tournament. Those guys do a
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah.
But they switched now, right? Who's running it?
They did.
Same guys. It's just the sponsorship is different
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You would love
John's
our
still
golf
very
tournament.
much involved,
You
though.
would love our golf tournament. We gotta get that out to-
Webster.
Webster.
Yeah, I love Webster. You know what? They're
Great guy.
they're doing really good things.
They
They're
are.
Yeah.
excited to see as they keep bringing out Maple, but
Yeah.
they're awesome.
We haven't even introduced you. This is Derek Serra.
Yeah. Hey,
What are you looking at me for? I know who
President
Derek is.
Westboro Mortgage Investment Corp. Westboro.
Westboro.
And when we drove to Ottawa, your office is out there because it was close to
Your
the
office
restaurant.
was next to the restaurant we went to.
Yeah, the restaurant was really good.
great.
You went to
Italian.
Fratelli.
Yes.
Yes.
With the window.
Yeah,
open.
we're literally
really
right
good.
next door.
It's
Really
really, it was
good.
really
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah,
It was
it's
really
We
good.
weren't
good.
as close back then, or else I would invite you for a Spro for sure.
Absolutely.
How often are you out there though? Not that often.
No, I'm out there about a week a month, and so I'm back and forth. The whole operation for it's funny because I try to explain to Toronto people. I say if you think of Rosedale, Westboro is like the Ottawa version of Rosedale.
Got it.
So it is a borough where there's a lot of really nice houses and a lot of beautiful kind of place to live. And so the gentleman who started Westboro named it after the community where he lived.
Smart.
And so now that we've brought it across the province, I got to keep explaining that. People from Ottawa get it, but if they don't, that's the best way to
like the
explain
name.
it. And so,
Yeah, it's like you open up a lender here. You call it Rosedale Capital or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense.
Same idea. Yeah. And so that's Westboro. And you were in Westboro.
We were.
Oh,
when you
yeah?
were at-
On our way to
that's
Montreal,
the
yeah.
borough.
Oh,
that
very
it's in.
nice.
And so the office is there, and our entire kind of operations team is based out of Ottawa, and we have a great team. And so we've always tried to maintain kind of the office space and the culture and all those kind of things. And so it's always been and it always will be an Ottawa-based MIC, and we're really proud of that. So yeah,
Good, man. Yeah, it's great.
Before we dive into the real questions, we were talking. I called you on a deal during the playoffs. I think it was right before Game 6, and you said you can't lean one way or the other because you work for an Ottawa-based company, and you got to be a Leafs fan. So you were talking to me a little bit with that. So once the Leafs won, were you able to chirp anybody? Like how was?
Oh wow! I mean, this now you're into like I'm gonna get
gonna get him in
myself in
trouble,
trouble.
man.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
matter
We were
which
talking
way.
about it. You
Yeah.
had to be like the flag. You were
No
Switzerland.
sports, no religion, no politics.
Oh, is that it?
Wow.
I like talking sports.
Sports, fine. Leafs, I don't know.
Okay, we won't talk Leafs, fine.
My BDM in Ottawa, Darren. Everyone knows DC. Darren Campbell.
Yeah. I see him in all the videos.
The world's greatest golfer. But
Really?
DC. Oh yeah.
So you can't bring him to our tournament. You guys are gonna win.
That's why we bring DC.
Got it.
DC's on loan. If you want to win something, you bring DC. You'll
Got
win. But he is one of the only Ottawa residents that is the hugest Leafs fan.
No way.
Yeah, so we can't talk about it. He's got his hat on. He's got his jersey
Wow.
on.
So
you
he
know,
must have
he's-
gone to a couple of the home games.
He
in
turns
Ottawa.
his phone off during the game because he doesn't want to get chirped because in the group chat, everyone else is from Ottawa and they're chirping him.
So he must have felt good at least.
He did for a short period until the
We all
chirping
know
then
that.
came back. But no,
Once
I
they're
thought Ottawa's got a great team.
They do.
That's an up and coming franchise all day.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you guys end up like locking down a new arena? Like I know there was some news about that.
Yeah, they did. And so it's moving, I think, to there's been so much discussion in Ottawa about the location of the arena. It's difficult to get to and back. And so from what I understand, there's going to be a new arena that's more downtown.
Yeah.
And I think that's really just going to kind of regentrify the fan base, the availability to get through public transit. Like there's so many things that once they move the arena, it's going to be awesome. Not to say that it's not great now, but I think it's going to really take it's lining up nicely with the movement of the arena, the sale of the
Yeah.
team, and now the new kind of young crew
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
I'd say Ottawa Sens hockey is going to be exciting.
For sure,
many
I
years.
agree.
I think so too.
NPC's in Ottawa too this year, which is
Yeah. We're excited to host everybody. Kind of, we're pretty much one of the only lenders that is based out of
Yeah, no
Ottawa.
kidding,
And
yeah.
so
Welcome
we're
to
kind
the
of
house.
excited to have everybody come out, and we're probably going to do a little event or something.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, looking forward to that.
incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, we talked a little bit about the history of the company. Let's get into a little bit of your history. RBC for over 20 years.
Yep.
Right. You were in an RVP role,
Yes.
so you're all the way climbed all the ranks there to make a jump. Walk us through a little bit about that. What was going on? How did you make the decision? It's an Ottawa-based company. How do you even connect?
Yeah, it's a crazy.
I want to hear the story.
It's a crazy story, and so I loved my time at RBC. I was there for 23 years. I started as a part-time teller out in Bowmanville and did all my accreditation and worked through university and whatnot while I worked there, and the training. And I know you guys are a lot of previous TD staff, and that's kind of what I like about the Clear Trust Group is when you grew up at a bank, you got some really good training. And it's not just training about lending, it's training about the client experience, all those kind of things, partnering. And so, the banks are a great training ground for that. And so, I spent my whole life there. And then things started to shift. Like once I got into the VP of mortgage specialist role, it was at a point where there was a lot of kind of discussion about people leaving and people saying, I might join the broker space. And, as a lot of those guys are really good buddies of mine. And so they were kind of saying to me, look, Derek, we're going to be moving. And I had said to the bank, I don't see a path forward without a lot of these big producers because it's relationship business. They're the connection to the communities in a lot of cases. But ultimately, all I'd say is when you're in a senior role, you got to believe in the vision of what's happening. And at that point, I didn't. And so the best thing for us was to part ways in a positive light. And, I knew that I wanted to move on and be in the mortgage business. And I knew shortly thereafter, there was going to be a mass exodus of the mortgage specialists. I mean, the nice thing about the big banks, whether it be RBC, CIBC, TD, they're successful because they're amazing. They're not just great Canadian banks, they're great world banks. Right. Like they do really well. And so, a different strategy doesn't mean that it's better or worse, but it was one of those things where I thought, with all these people leaving, it might be a better time to kind of plant the flag elsewhere and move myself along.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, good for you for
betting on yourself.
And also coming to that realization that if you don't believe in the vision, it's time to go. A lot of people stick around, right?
So you managed the sales managers.
Correct.
Okay.
So
and then
you're
you
a bit like
reported
my
to,
manager.
Yeah. So you reported into like the group head or something, or like
Correct.
an SVP.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were influential big time on the the origination side on the sales force.
And I had been a sales manager for years before in
Wow.
4 different territories. So that's how I knew. Many of the executives at the big banks, they kind of have a trajectory through the executive ranks. Right. I grew up retail.
Yeah, man.
And so I moved from branch manager to
huge
sales
asset.
manager.
It's a great story,
Yeah. So listen, I loved my time at RBC, and I think I learned everything, and I draw on those learnings every day now, whether it's a discussion about a deal or just even kind of relationship building. A lot of the great training, as you would be doing with your training you got from TD, same idea from RBC. But as luck would have it, when I left RBC, I came across a group of ex-RBC executives who were running what you would know now as MCAN.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so at the time it was called XMC.
That's right.
Yep.
That's what I saw.
Yep.
XMC. Yeah.
And so they kind of came to me with XMC. MCAN had bought the Exceed book, which was called XMC. And it said, look, we want to really kind of go out to market. We have a small operations team, but we don't kind of have a head of the business.
Yep.
And I remember looking at them saying, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you want me to head up a whole... And the guy's like, look, if what you're saying is gonna make sense as it relates to all the brokers that are joining the broker field...
Yep.
You're going to have the Rolodex, go get them. And that's exactly what happened. So we kind of went guns a-blazing with, at the time it was building an A and an alt business.
Okay.
And they're both regulated. And so that's kind of, it's funny, when I left the bank, I thought, wow, I've got a lot of experience. I know what I'm doing. Then you get into like the non-bank lending and you learn about things, like liquidity and having cash And, there's things that when you work at the bank, you're not worried about those things, right? But all of a sudden you have a whole different perspective. And so learning how to work with the regulators, how to build products. One of the things that always resonated was, you'd meet with brokers and they'd be like, come on, Derek, it's an alt lender. Build a common sense self-employed program. And you look at them and you're like, I know what you mean, but it's harder than that when you're building kind of to fit the box of being regulated and fit the box of what investors would like. But back then, like the insured business was booming. And so the insured business, as you guys know, tough to sell in Toronto. Back then it was $1 million cap, which brought me out to Ottawa. And so I'm spending time in Ottawa, I'm spending time in London, I'm pushing kind of the insured stuff. And it really kicked in Ottawa. So I wound up spending more time in Ottawa, and that's when I came across Westboro.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And so, Westboro was going through a pretty big change in terms of it being kind of a family-owned MIC to having been sold to a corporation, and the corporation was looking for a new president. And that's how that timing came to be. And so most people see me, they're always like, hey, wow, you made the trip from Ottawa, thanks. And they don't realize I live in Toronto. But I mean, I kind of live a double life, partly in Toronto and partly there.
Nothing wrong with that.
But nothing wrong with that. And Ottawa's it's a great community. It's a great market to do mortgages in as well.
100%.
So blessed in both regards there.
So I know you touched a little bit on, leaving and you thought you knew it, and when you get into a whole new world, but can you kind of think of what was, or maybe one or a few of the biggest challenges? Because you're coming in from up here at RBC in the sense of like you're, an RVP role. So you're not really in the weeds of like, not as much as like the day-to-day, the grind of what the MMS were going through but like you're seeing escalations and you understand the business. And now you're jumping out into the broker space, which you kind of started the whole kind of mass that you got out at a good time. What would be the biggest challenge or biggest maybe aha moment or eye opener when you actually was the broker space what you expected?
Yeah, no. Listen, I guess one of the biggest distinguishing factors is like if we worked at RBC together and I would, and I was your guy's boss, what would tend to happen because we all work for the same brand. Let's just say, you have a last minute closing, you don't have all your docs, you put in your escalation, it goes to the sales manager, it comes to me, I call risk management, say, listen, we got to do this, it's an RBC client, yada, yada. And in some cases it gets done. In the broker space, we're not on the same team. I'm the lender, you're the broker. If you don't have all the documents, I can't necessarily help you without all the documents. And when we worked together, it was kind of like we all had to get in this together. Now, as a lender, we try to be as helpful as possible. But in some cases, I think it's more so for the brokers to learn that, the lender is your partner. It's not, you don't work there. That's right. So it's an interesting kind of nuance.
I said that on the last episode at TD, we'd get stuff done. It has to. You all work in the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? The funny thing is at the banks, a lot of times it's an existing client too. So you have to help because it's an existing client that's porting or increasing or buying another property. And in this case, it's a little different. And so that was a big aha. The other one, especially moving from kind of like banking to brokering and then moving from A to alt to now private. Yeah. The way you look at a deal, the way you looked at a deal at the bank, the systems were very intuitive and they would spit out, remember, like A, B, C. Right. And then if it was a D, you had to get, one up to get the D looked at. Right. In the world of now alt and private, you shift to the property even more so than the client. Mm-hmm. And so the onus on appraisals, the onus on knowing the market. And, that's one of the things that for me, because I've lent across the province and actually across, the country, but in particular across Ontario for many years, if you don't know the markets, it's very difficult to be making decisions on credit. For example, if you're in Hamilton, if you're, on one side of the highway versus the other, if you're in Oshawa, if you're one street south, closer to the lake than north, you really need to know the backyards where you're lending. And then you can, it's an advantage for the brokers who deal with you if you know the markets, because you can make exceptions depending where you're lending. But if you're based out of, Alberta or Vancouver and you're an underwriter lending in Ontario, it's going to be, I think, a bit more vanilla just because you're not in the backyards of the markets where you're dealing. And so those are a couple of big differences just in terms of the culture in dealing with your colleagues who are now your partners, and all the risk associated with alt and private lending.
100%. So you've been with Westboro a little bit over 3 years?
Over 4 now.
Over 4.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So you 4 years or over 4 years is a really good time to understand the alt and private space. It's been very different, I'm sure, over the last 6 to 12 months. Why don't you share your insight, because no one will probably know better than you in what you've seen in the changes.
Great question. And I'd say to start, it would be kind of putting to bed, some people think private lender, it's like, oh, you're doing, really kind of people who are really low on their luck, or it's really kind of people who are in tough times. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, we're, especially in the first 2 years, which would go back, say, 4 years ago, right. You're talking about, accountants, dentists, high net worth individuals, someone who owns 10 houses and the bank just doesn't want to do the 11th, and the paperwork is just too much to get it done elsewhere, and no private steps in. People die, people have divorce, all those kind of things that lead them down the path of needing a short-term solution like a private. And so, the business was always very transactional in that they're short-term. But what I noticed in the past 6 months is certainly that the credit quality has dropped. And so the lower beacon scores and people who have missed mortgage payments, not so much with Westboro, but if they've been behind in their bank mortgage, right. And now they're saying, okay, well, I'll bring it to a private. And it's like, you know what, if you're not making your mortgage payment, I'm not sure how we can help you. We're not really in the business of wanting to get in the middle of taking your house. And so if you're not going to pay your mortgage, and then the other issue in the last year or so has really, I think, been when the market, this difference between my beard and yours is I've seen the market go like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this. And so when you get that kind of years under your belt, you'll see that when the market's down, no one ever thinks it's going to go up. And when it's up, no one ever thinks it's going to die. And so this condo market, real estate market in Ontario was booming for many, many years. Now all of a sudden it's got quite kind of like the halt on it. Yeah. And people who were buying condos as investment properties or leveraging their property now all of a sudden are kind of finding that, wow, my property didn't go up 15% this time when I'm going back to renew and I'd like to refi, or rates are a little higher than I thought and my payments a little higher than I thought. And it really comes back to the advice that they're getting from the brokers that they're dealing with. One example would be kind of second mortgages. So when that 1.92% first mortgage started, which would have been, say, 2021.
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
So you have a bunch of clients still that have it now, and they'll have it maybe till like November of next year. And then that time will be past us. But the second mortgage is a great solution for a client who has a first mortgage at 1.7. They need a little bit of money. They got lots of equity. They don't want to give up the 1.7. But the conversation around a second mortgage needs to be very much about what happens, like aligning the renewal date on the second with the first, having that matched maturity, so that you don't have different fees and different terms that are coming up, or having these capped payments, which seems to be something that people are coming out of second mortgages now with capped payments. And I'm looking at it saying, no, like you took a mortgage a year ago, you didn't want to make payments. Now you're coming to us. Like the exit should be the sale if you're going to take a mortgage with capped payments. Right. And the challenge now is that people expected their house to be worth a little more than it was. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of hitting a moment of truth. And so certainly the last 6 months has made it, I think it made everyone's job, your guys, ours, much more challenging to have these longer conversations with clients and explain exactly what's happening, and helping with the short-term solutions that sometimes private financing can help with.
I agree. Me too. I got one last question. You have anything you want to dive into? How about you? You want to ask us anything, Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I like about ClearTrust is, it's funny, when I first met Janice, which is the third partner. Yeah. I guess I'm sitting in her chair.
She doesn't like the camera. She hates it. We've had her on once, and it was absolutely we had to ask her for like 6-7 months to come on. She's not a big camera person, so.
Well, she's great nonetheless.
Yeah. She's fantastic.
So when I met her, they were just moving into the office.
Young and Shepherd.
At Young and Shepherd. And the day I went there, they were like literally there was like the whatever on the ground, and they were painting, and I had walked in and I was like,
But that
hey.
wouldn't have been Westboro. It would have been XMC.
Right. Yeah, that's when I first met her. And then, then I started to hear, and we kind of lost touch because, again, I was kind of focused outside of the city a bit.
Right.
But always kind of just followed along with the success of Clear Trust. But then, I started to look at some of the reporting, and I'm like, oh my God, like these guys are doing, because I think it was mainly a BC-based
to start
franchise for DLC.
Yep.
But all of a sudden in Ontario, it started coming on. I started hearing your name. And I'm like, wow, I gotta get in front of these guys because they're having such great success. And usually when I walk into an office like today, there's always 2, 3, 4, 5 ex-RBC people.
Right.
But here it's all mainly ex-TD people.
That's us, yeah.
So I know you guys, but it's not like I don't remember you from years and years back. But, I guess my question to you would be, first, congratulations on building like an awesome team, and the office space is great. Like everything you guys do has class to it. But how did you do that? Like how did you guys leave and hit the ground running to the degree that you did?
Dan, you could start.
I feel like this is a perfect question for you. Or do you want me to start because you want to finish off with the cherry on top?
Yeah.
No, you give us the whole Sunday, bro. Come on.
No, come on.
Come on, bro.
No.
Give us the Sunday.
I've been talking the whole time. You haven't said much.
Give us yeah, I'm listening. I'm absorbing.
Okay, well, why don't you start with how you joined Janice, and then I'll finish up.
Who was first?
I came first.
Yeah, I remember that.
I came first, 2019, June. I came on. Yep. Paul, go ahead.
Okay. So Dan joined June 2019. Janice started, I think,
May 2017.
2017. So Janice left. I was her sales manager.
Janice quit
okay.
the day I started.
Yeah, so they were both
the same day.
Yeah, they were both MMS. The first team meeting, Dan said, "Hi, I'm Daniel," and she said, "I'm leaving. This is my last meeting." Yeah.
No way.
I swear, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Miguel was like most of the team here. I was their sales manager. So brought them in, and then similar to what you said, I think Dan and mainly Miguel, who were doing both very, very well. They saw kind of the shift, and all their clients weren't fitting into the one, just only everything's got to be, one product, right? So they joined Janice, and then they were really pushing, and obviously the relationship's there. You got to join. And then January 2020, I joined, and we were all kind of united. And at that time, in January 2020, when I joined, Clear Trust would have done $87 million with 12 staff.
Ontario.
Yeah.
$87 million, 12 agents. 2 of which were Dan and Miguel. And I think the only ones that remain are Dan, Miguel, Musi, and Yenny from the 4 of the 12. The rest kind of moved on. And we just started, really building through, similar to you. You have your RBC ties, we had TD ties. And a lot of people we were lucky enough to follow, and through me being there for a long time, and Dan and Miguel, and then Mickey joined, and Mickey has a great circle. And so honestly, we've been very blessed. I don't want to, at the same time, everything falls together. But through just really keeping in touch with our relationship, doing good things, today we stand at about 75 agents, and we're doing really solid numbers. But through the growth, and majority have been ex-bankers. But I think what we're fortunate enough was, if we use Dan as an example, that success and being able to share that, to say we have a roadmap for ex-bankers to come in. And we've just built a really solid culture, which started from head office, right? It was very much about open arms, helping each other. I don't know, not to say, I'm sure there's lots of brokerages like us, but no one's competing with each other here. Everyone's extremely helpful with one another. Everyone wants to see each other do well. And we believe that there's a ton of market share and there's enough for everyone. No one's stepping on each other's toes. There's never been a fight for a deal. Obviously now, with how much we've grown, there's going to be times where a client or a realtor tries working with 2 people. We deal with that internally, but we've been very fortunate with culture and with culture and people coming over that have been really, successful at the banks. Like you said, they've had great training. We've had a strong following that now we've just built it to be a really good thing. And I honestly, I appreciate the kudos, but I don't think we've accomplished anything.
I agree.
We haven't accomplished anything. I would even say we're just getting started, in my opinion, and there's so much more to do. Hall of Famers, legends aren't created after 1 or 2 years, and there's a long way to go. We really want to change the narrative, and I think you're starting to see that. Like, you've been in the broker space for a while now, but you're starting to see that it's not just we're second choice, right? The bank said no, let me go to a broker. This relationship, and people want to come. We want people to come to us first, and we want to treat everyone like they're their only client. So, I think there's been a whole culture plays a big role, the following, the success, and we really run it like almost the culture of like what you would have when you were an RVP at RBC, where there's the coaching and there's the mentorship, but minus the golden handcuffs. Sure. That's the way I would explain it. So
yeah,
it's kind of what we've done.
It's amazing. Well, and then you just the best way that I always say it is you just have more tools in your toolbox now too, right? I think 100%. That the bankers have great access to great lenders. But when you take a step over to the broker space, you just add in, more solutions in the A. Then you layer in all of the alt, and you layer in all of the private. Like, there's almost nothing you guys can't do.
It's not a question of yes or no. It's a question of where.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I like that. All right, my last question, unless you have anything else for us.
No, I guess my other question about ClearTrust would be, like, where do you see it going in the next little while? Are you finding that you guys are shifting kind of more to alt than A? What kind of challenges are you guys up against in that regard?
For sure. You want me to answer again? Please, you go ahead.
I would love for you to answer.
Something. Come on. You can answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it's funny, we just ran the numbers for this year, and I sent it to them. So when I would say over the last 2-3 years, we've been 75-80% A. This year, 64% A. So we've seen anywhere from 10 to 16% delta over to to either B and alt. So yes, the business is shifting. We are finding that obviously we still have those clients that were from the bank, and we've expanded that database. However, so yes, our shift is business mix has been a huge focus for us, because there is the rates out there, especially with the banks, is extremely competitive, and sometimes you can't compete. So you find the solution, and that's what we've been doing. And what's next for us? I think we're growing, but at a pace that's very manageable. We're not on a huge hiring spree. It's really about fit and culture now, and maintaining. Like anything, there's going to be natural, organic growth. People will leave. Some people will come. I think we want to continue to do really good business, and what the focus really has been is getting more out of who's here, and also our focus has been on efficiencies and really making our partners happy. Because the biggest thing was we were always great on volume, but we wouldn't always, necessarily the close ratio, or we'd lose deals at the end. So I think now we've been really focused on that, and all of our lenders have really come back to say we can see the change, and really understanding, and Dan does, he says this a lot, is understanding when to push the levers and when not. And there's only so much, where we're used to the bank where you're always going to get an answer by 4 or 5 o'clock, or over here that, sometimes we say there's that loss of urgency, which it feels that way. But again, like you said, you're on the lender side, and there's only so much you can do. Right. So that's kind of that.
No, interesting. And I think, ultimately having this many like-minded people around the table, like, you guys are going to weather the storm, whatever comes at you. And if it shifts back to A and there's more volume there, you'll be ready for it. And coaching your guys on how to do the alt and private stuff. I mean, it's a great time to be learning how to do that. And once you learn it and you know it, like, you're just you're a better broker overall to be able to answer questions and give comfort to clients in a more meaningful way. So it's good.
So my last question is more of a fun one. So the personalized Nike kicks has become a hit. I follow on Instagram. I've been seeing this. So to provide some background, people fund a certain amount of deals. You get them personalized green and white Nike. Are they Jordans? Or
they're Jordans.
They're Jordans,
yeah.
Right? And on the back, you kind of put their last name.
Yeah.
Was that your idea? How did the idea come to life? Give us just a quick background.
So with Westboro, like, myself and the team have always been very active on social media, and I really believe in social media. And when you're when you're doing when you're putting yourself out there, whether it be through a forum like this or otherwise, like you kind of have to have a methodology to what you're doing. You have to post so many times a day. Like I kind of hear and see other lenders or other brokers, like they think, you know what, I'm going to do some social media stuff. So they do a couple of videos for a week and then they leave it, you know, but you have to have regular scheduled storytelling content. And you got to be out in the market doing fun things to have the content to engage people. Right. And so I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan, always have been. And I don't care whether I'm too old or not. I always rock my Jordans and I love them. And so when we were talking as a team about, you know, potentially getting Jordans in the Westboro colors, so they're the green, black, and white after Westboro, I'd said, you know, I don't know about spending the money on staff out of the gate. Let's see what brokers think. And so we started going through, and with Westboro, we call it private members club. And so once you've funded so many deals, like many other lenders, there's the status programs, but we started sending out the kicks, and oh my God, what we thought was going to be, you know, this is cool, caught fire. And so, you know, we've customized a whole bunch of them that are out, and I love it because I see broker, like one quick story is, you know, I had a call from a broker the other night. It was late, and I picked up, and he was laughing, and he goes, I got to tell you, he goes, I just walked in the house. He's got 3 kids. He goes, you know, everybody walks in the house and leaves their shoes at the front door. And he goes, we walked past after hockey, and we all looked back, and he goes, I got the coolest kicks sitting at the front door. He goes, Derek, this is the first time in like 15 years that I've had cooler kicks than my kids. Right. So thanks for that. And I thought, you know, this idea of being able to do something that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is.
And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have, you know, Westboro piled all over it. It's just subtly there in the color theme.
Right.
But also the customized piece I thought was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
It's just kind of one of those things where it was an idea that's you know, I'll quote a little Harvey Specter here, you know, most people with their swag like it here. Well, I like it up here. And so this is just the start. We have a couple of really cool initiatives coming. Just to pick up on the kicks and some other kind of, we were talking about concerts and getting to know some people within the Rolodex, and just making it fun for all the brokers who are, you know, we try to be as good to them as they are to us as it relates to things like efficiency and you know, trusting us with their business and all the rest of it. So it's been incredible. A good run.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. Okay, this has been a great episode. Thanks so much for coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pleasure. Always great to see you guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
And we'll keep chatting. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Okay, cheers.